Thank you, everyone. I don't know if everybody knows who we are, Adigy. Show of hands, who's heard of us thus far? Cool. That's humbling, conference by conference. So thank you guys for having us here. I'm enjoying London. It was the first time my wife and I have been away from our kids on a trip for like 4.5 years. So we had a good time. And Saturday, I got to enjoy the 2 million protesters. That was awesome. That was good. You guys have a proper protest. Beer everywhere, and I joined in. It was good. But we got our own issues, of course, right? Like
we appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
Tim Apple. I love it. But so a quick session agenda today. I'm going to give you 3 minutes on Adigy. For some of these who don't know us, this is not a pitch. I wanted to go into some of the areas on scripting and the things we did on the community side that we hope is going to be a huge investment in our platform and our overall community. So we're going to break the ice on scripting. I'm pretty passionate about scripting. I think a lot of people get intimidated by it. So I have a little bit of an icebreaker on it, and then we'll get into some more advanced pieces, and I'll put that up so you guys can consume some of the commands that are pretty fun and easy to play with afterwards. And then we'll talk about them in respects to how we can collect data and obviously run commands and what that means for our community. All right. So a brief story on Adigy. Our goal has always been to elevate Apple IT inside traditional IT. So we all know the stories. You got Apple devices across the board that are not really allowed to be in IT. And we're just trying to build a cloud platform that's really simple and easy to use, yet powerful. And that's actually kind of hard. You add more features in, and it doesn't become simple anymore. So I'll give you a little sneak peek on that. We're also, as an organization, we've just crossed over with 32% female, which I'm really proud of too. So we got a pretty awesome team in Miami mostly. We've got a team in Minneapolis of 5, Portland, Oregon. So the team is growing really, really fast. We have one of the only ones I know that's fully multi-tenant. So our platform is built so we can have our APN certificates for MDM, DEP, and VBP all in the same account and platform, mainly so you can administer things top down no matter what. And that's IT service providers can do that for managing their different customers all under one roof. And the other big one for us is enterprises that use us, so they don't have to, if they acquire a company, they don't have to ask Apple to try to move those machines into their parent DEP account. They can just manage them as a separate subsidiary under the same account. So we see a lot of growth with that. A lot of our tech companies that use us, there's a tremendous amount out there from Domo, Looker, Bamboo HR, League.com, Color.com, et cetera. They all, they grow fast and they do acquire a lot of companies. So this is a quick sneak peek of it. Again, this is going to be like a minute long, but we were able to run different scripted commands, right? And I can run any operations that I want. There's ls on the root directory, run that across 3 machines. It runs instantaneously. I can look at the output. So it's a live, real-time system for what we want to run on the machines. I can also go ahead and, I think from here, run our go live. So being able to run under the hood of the user. So I can do bandwidth analysis, look for updates, push them out directly, reset the user's password, delete the user, add a new user, all without having to hijack the machine from them. We can poke through and actually do a native SSH session itself. This is just a terminal session. All we need is outbound SSL for that machine. And we can have a live remote session for the terminal. Remote control, and of course the policies where we can actually push OS updates, third-party software, Office updates, everything out directly from here. The beautiful thing is with DEP, any new machines that come into the platform automatically come up to spec with whatever we have in here. Stays up to spec with us being able to check in every 30 minutes and make sure the system's staying in compliance. That's it. So a little quick peek if you didn't know what we do a lot more than MDM. And that local agent gives us that ability to do things real time on the machine. This is obviously using our terminal again afterwards where we can just do it from an iPad if we want to. I had one of our customers at our user conference. He said he was on his onboard Wi-Fi on the plane and was able to remote in and take care of things directly on the terminal while he was flying. So it's always cool to hear interesting stories like that. So we had our conference last month. little different. It was in our hometown of Miami. So this is a quick peek of beyond some of our speakers. Beyond some of our speakers, our event that we had in the evening. March is actually kind of nice in Miami. Don't come in July, but March is pretty cool. So we had a fun time there with a lot of different events going on. It's a fun town. We had a guy that we had rolling cigars. So fun stuff. All right, so think about that next year in March. A little different. So Mac OS itself, I think a couple things just to take a quick step back, you know, especially when we built Adigy, although MDM is a necessity, these are Linux systems, right? And if you're not aware, it's underlying the Mach microkernel. And that's something that was developed by Carnegie Mellon back in 1985, a ways back. It's been morphed quite a bit, but it's basically the basis of all macOS, iOS, and tvOS. And overall, as a microkernel, we stack our modules on top, but we basically keep a very thin kernel itself. And it's been a pretty great OS that Carnegie's done that's moved on from the traditional. And that's why we talk about MDM overall, but I think the important thing is, where does MDM stop and scripting begin? Well, we can script and run anything we want. I mean, privacy preferences, if we have system level control, we can really go into privacy preferences and change around the SQLite database. I mean, it's not standard, or we're kind of breaking the rules a bit, but really when you have root level access, you have nearly complete control of the system. Apple does try to change a lot of that, but at the end of the day, there's still just tremendous control you have. So my primer piece on this is just, we're going to go through a couple cases. The first one, an area just to get started with that I like. Let me just see a show of hands. Who does scripting on a normal basis? Overall bash scripting. Cool. Okay. So this is not going to be that fun at the beginning here. But some of the things that we don't typically know about that I use all the time, we all know what man pages are, but man-k allows me to search for keyword operations. I don't always know all the operations that are out there, so let me see everything that has to do with power-based commands. So I'll run that again on power. We got PM set. I can then run man on PM set, and now get all of the arguments for how I want to actually potentially use that. But the man pages are really great, because if you scroll down with them, they'll give you, depending on the type of man page itself, they'll give you examples on how to do things, as you see here. And then even other operations that are similar, like caffeinate. So now I maybe look at caffeinate now, see what that can do for me, and be able to leverage that and run that for my operations. I like running caffeinate because it lets me make sure I can do an operation in totality without the machine going into sleep mode. So it's fun. Now let's go ahead and talk about the file system a bit. Just some quick pieces on the file system. So when it comes to the file system, you're always in a working directory. Most of you may know this. PWD allows you to see where you're at in the current directory path. ls-l lists out your files and directories. And then you can always do -al to see all possible hidden files, all files in that directory itself. What I'm looking at here, I'm going to stop this for a second. I like this to be there's a simple way to look at the permissions that are on a file. And obviously, the D in the front means this is a directory. Without the D, it's a file. But the settings of those file permissions, RWX, read, write, execute. But the first one of RWX is the user, the owner of that file. In the case of most of these files, Jason, myself. So I would have read, write, execute access. The next one is group, which is in here staff, and then world. Now, world sounds weird, but when you have a web server just traverses the directory structure just like a user would. So Apache will have a particular username, like Apache daemon username, and it's going through, and it's going to have permissions. World would be anybody on a web server that wants to see the file, like index.html. So the simple way that we can set the permissions in this case is signifying the first RWX as a bit, as a 3-bit flag, then the second one, and the third one. Is it 3-bit? Yeah. So if I want to do RWX on everything, that's 777. If I want to do read and execute, which is normally what we'll do if we want to have a script that we run, then I'll do 5. So chmod 755 allows me to make sure I can do, I have full permission, and group and users have read and execute permission. So if you just think about it that way, the first number at a binary level sets those 3 flags for you. 101, so 5 in that case. As far as the shell command goes with files, it becomes pretty easy to just go in and start adding a shell command. So we'll put the top moniker, which tells anything we're running that, hey, this is going to be a bash operation. I'll echo world, hello world, and now I'll go ahead and see the file permission is wrong there. I want to go ahead and make sure that runs that first.sh with, I can't execute that right now. So I'm going to 755 on first.sh, and then I'll end up running that. You can see it's changed now to execute access. So I'll run that and see the hello world. All right, seems pretty clear. All right, now some advanced stuff. So I'm going to pull up one of my, I think it's going to pull up another file here, yeah. So a couple cool commands that I use. So I use nano quickly for very fast editing stuff. And I have a few commands in here. The hash in the front is basically a comment. It comments out that line, says you don't run this. So anytime you just want to check things, in this case, pretty much every command here is commented out. But the first one is running our speed test CLI, speed test command line operation, and I can run that on demand as I want. Like one of our customers, Best Buy, they use us to manage all their Macs in every Best Buy at corporate. They use our API and call that speed test CLI to get bandwidth across every Mac in every store. So they know what the bandwidth is like in each store, and they were able to save themselves a lot of money going back to their ISP and beating them up on what they said they were going to do. So this one here is taking, if you guys ever look at the syslogs, things that get logged to the syslog, that is where we would see a potential problem. It gets verbose. So the first thing you'll do is we're looking at, let me go back here. Where is that at? Yeah. So syslog level 2s, there shouldn't really be any. That's where you first look. There should never be syslog level 1s. So I look at syslog level 2s and you'll see an application crashing or see stuff like that. So a lot of times I'll look there very quickly. There's some other things we can get into later on too, which spin dumps. So if applications crash, there's a dump file created in what's called a spin dump folder. So those remnants on a machine really help tell you if there's problems with a computer and what's going on. So then there was nothing in level 2s, which is good. But if I do it on level 3s, I didn't mean to go through that again. Hold on a second. Let me skip ahead. So if I run level 3s, it'll give me a bunch of stuff there, and I can look for an applicable item. So syslogs are always a good place to start on a diagnostic level. In this case, I'm just looking for the top 10 items out of it. That's what the head option is for, and the top 10 lines. All right. Now I'm going to go back over here, just looking at it with more instead of going to the editor. And the next one I have there, this one actually runs power metrics. The first item says I want to run 505 polls every second. Those are milliseconds, so 1,000 milliseconds. So every second it's going to poll the machine, and in this case I'm looking for the power consumption on the machine, and it's going to run it 500 times. So at the end of that, it's going to give me a dump of all those polling periods, and then we're putting that out to a file. We're looking at the top 20 processes that over that period of time have been eating up the most power on the machine. So if battery's draining quick, you can look at your running processes, but at the end of the day, that's just what's running now. You could have this run for 10 minutes and then see what's really eating up my. I like looking at the power consumption because that's one that's eating up, overall I/O and CPU, and it's going to spin up the fans. That's what most people care about. So if I go ahead and run that, this is going to be a little verbose first, and then we'll tighten it up with the top 20 items. So yeah, I got to run with sudo here. And type in the path. And when you run an Adagee, you don't need to have sudo. It's just going to run natively as root. But this picking up all those stacks of power consumption operations, and at the end, we have one that cleans it up and takes the last. We only really care about the last one that's there. So it's continuing to scroll through. We're getting 16 of them, and then we'll have those at the very end here. So I'm doing, yeah, look at the last. Yeah, I'll take the last 20, rerun it again, and you'll see what that looks like. I'm only doing 16 there, so you don't really see it. That first column is calculating the 15-second period, and so I got to go further than at least 15 seconds, and then I'll see what that calculation looks like. And you'll see Spotify, obviously Slack and others, but it's a really good, easy way to kick it off, and it'll keep running until it finishes with 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you'll have a percentage value for what's eating up the most power on the machine itself. So I like that one a lot. The next one, which one am I at there? So the top 10 largest files and directories on the machine. This is using disk what's it called? Well, disk utility, I think. So that's running basically on the current user that's there, and then we're sorting that one after it's done for the top 10 largest files and directories on the machine. So if I'm running low on disk space, you can run some proactive operations, but I love this command because no matter what, when I check back later on, I'll have a log of what those top 10 largest files and directories are. On my computer, and most it'll be the Dropbox camera uploads directory or something like that, and then you can task the user to look at them. And the last one here, this one actually pipes in a support ticket directly into Adagee, or you can push it somewhere else, and we can take any data we want and drive that out of there. And then I'm going to run all of them together, which then gives me this huge set of profile information, the speed test on the top, the syslog level 2s, the top 10 largest files and directories on the machine, and accumulate all of those together so I can get a nice, good system snapshot of what's happened on the machine. Good way to kick that off if I have any overall expectation of a degradation in the platform. I just hope I have an overall set of snapshots. So those are a few commands that I had created and actually added in to our community. Let me move on to the next slide here. So I can take that command, I can run it in Adagee directly, or I can add a new set of script operations in Adagee, just copy them over. That's what I was doing here at the end. Sorry, I was trying to idiot-proof it with a video. You go ahead and add those in directly in here, set a category for it, and then you can run it in mass across a set of machines. Run in real time, or as a maintenance operation, or as a remediation operation for something that you're monitoring for. All right, so that just ran those. I think it was doing the speed test and a couple other things which are not instantaneous. And we're done. If I open it up, there we go, at the bottom there. All right, so the big reasons why this is helpful for what we're doing is when Adagee launched, we want everything to be in the platform, that you don't have to plumb it all yourself. So we just launched before our conference, that we announced at the conference, our community facts and our community scripts. So I can create the scripts as you saw earlier. I can also create custom facts that collect any piece of data about the machine, and then we categorize that as string, integer, Boolean, and then I can trigger monitoring alarms for it or just overall report for it. So on the community level, right now, I can look at the top facts that people have contributed and ones that have been copied over and just grab those items and copy them over, or at least even, and I think this is the big important piece on a collaboration level, is how are people using those facts? They're in plain text here. I can run them separately. I can iterate on them. I can comment back to the contributor, report a problem potentially as well. We review them and approve or deny them that go out. So especially right now, we have a pretty big backlog of the QA for approving and denying them. But at the bottom there, you can rank them and provide comments. So So those are there on the fact side. And on the script side, same thing. I can go to the community and look at what the most widely used scripts are and just start using them. What's the most recent ones that are out there? This is just a community where I don't have to go searching on forums. You know, we love Slack and how amazing it is to be able to communicate and collaborate on things. But at the end of the day, being able to consume these digestible facts and scripts is almost like the App Store. And I think that's a big reason why you know, we're able to take advantage of so much on our phone or our computers, is we can just go there, one click, start using them and leveraging them. So I can go over on the script side, see what those most copied items are, and again, leverage those scripts also. A couple of things to just quickly mention about us. We just launched our new status page for all of our microservices that we support. We had 10 minutes of downtime in the last 16 months across our overall platform. So that's been pretty awesome. This one we don't really need to care to look about. We shipped Google SSO on the top level platform. So you can log in with Google SSO. We're also shipping in the next 3 weeks both Google CICP as a login application to log into the machine. Google just shipped their own identity management platform. So it gives you the ability to manage your users here. I don't know that Okta would be so prevalent if Google stepped up and did identity management. And it's really, really cheap. If you go to if you Google search Google CICP, look at the page. I mean, it's like 500,000 users, I believe, is like a half a penny per month. So being able to, at the DEP level, authenticate on the machine. We had one of our, Okta as well. We have all of those done. But we had one of our machines just recently show up in Russia. This is the guy. I still have the machine is still checking into Adigy. So if you guys have any good fun ideas on how we can mess with this guy, who obviously took possession of our stolen Mac, this is his GitHub account actually, yeah, he's using our system for free there. But the point is that we have that login app at the beginning where we stop the rest of the provisioning of the machine until we have an authenticated user. We could see it in Adigy. If they wipe the machine, it still pops up to that login app. They can't create a user. They can't get past it. And we don't provision anymore. We don't push any VPN certificates, nothing else like that. The last thing we did was we put in a new privacy preferences section. So you can go here and add in a privacy item. And from our 300 plus third-party software apps that we keep up to date, you can choose the application and we will be able to set the team IDs so you don't have to go ahead and do that manually. That's a bit of a pain right now for privacy preferences. So you just go there, set the setting that you want, and just choose the drop-down of the application, and we set all the ugly bits of the team IDs that you would need. That's the last one I'll mention is just the way we can use our custom facts now. So we can have, instead of the login app, the ability to put in custom details on what would be this login page. That gets set as facts that get pulled up to the machine, departments, whatever else we want, even passwords, and set those so we can actually, for a school or high turnover environments, collect that information. So the facts end up becoming a way we can pull any information we want on the machine. So we're trying to continue to build on this. It's not just how valuable this is to the community too. We watch this. There's an area of our product where we can, where you can vote on features. And that's great, but that's kind of a buffet for everybody, right? I want all of these things. Well, when we see people using the different facts and the scripts heavily used in the community, we know that there's a need for that. And we know we'll be able to stand behind it and maybe provide some other additional elegant approaches. So it's a big part of our roadmap, not only to just support the community, but also to be able to know what's important to our community and stand behind it and see that data as a cloud platform. So at the end of next month, we're giving away both an iPad Pro with keyboard and pencil and AirPods to the most highly leveraged script or fact within our community itself. We think it's important, and we hope you guys will enjoy it as well. All right, well, that's it. Any questions you guys have? I mean, this is just a recap on that portion, I think. Yeah, what do you guys think? Don't everybody clap at once. All right. Cool. Any questions so far? No? All right. I'll be around at our booth if you guys have any other specific questions and information. Yeah.
These community scripts and facts, they are available only through the Adigy portal?
Yeah.
Or are they freely available online?
Right now, they're just available only in the platform itself. We have plans to open it up publicly, but we need to control it first because it's a lot of exposure right now, and also just approving them. So, kind of, and they're marked in our product right now as beta still, but that's our hope, is that we can make them fully available. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? All right. Well, I think I'm the last talk until our podcast is next. Our boy Tom here. I'm excited about that. Thank you for doing that. And let's move on to the next fun item. Thank you, guys.